Hey everybody, it's Marty the JavaScript Party. I'm my buddy Rhett, and we are working on the ThreeJS application. It is very confusing times at this moment. Basically, I've been working on CRUD, and that's create, read, update, and delete. And I have the delete working, but once I got delete working, I had certain issues that weren't really bugs before you could delete, but now that you can delete, they are. Um, so basically, I've had sort of been slaying one dragon, and then go and um, as I as I fix things, other things break, and that's I think pretty normal. Um, Basically, my whole mindset was index based on all these arrays. I would hold these arrays, and I would always assume that like if I had a visualization component, but I did not, or it I always assumed that the visualization component and the array position would always be like in order. And that's no longer the case because now I can delete something and then add something else, um, and things just break. So I got that. Yep. So we're still good and as of yesterday, we weren't. Like when we'd go back here, they'd all be sitting on top of each other. I feel like, do they go faster every time I go back and forth? I think so. I think these move faster. The animation keeps getting added on, so that's definitely another breakage. Um, but so I'm going to delete this guy, and I think things just go haywire once I do that. Oh no, so that was good. Man, it's moving so fast. I think that looks so cool. Okay. So then I think when we add another one, so we're back to having to go a lot of steps to break it. But now when I add it, add a viz. I feel like this guy, these two slid to the beginning and the new one got added to the end, I believe. But once one of these has a position, I want it to stay in its position because that's like the whole point. Um, and I don't think we have any console errors. So basically, it seems like when I redraw, something goes wrong. Um, and I remember having to add some extra logic in this upsert. So now, but let's see, and I still have a lot of extra console logs that I really do need to get rid of because it can be very distracting. Console logs. Okay, so validation service line 69, visualization service 69. Okay, actually, I do think this is the one I care about. Let's get first empty. Maybe not. So calculate position seems like that's whatever calls this. Yeah, see in here we will create a visualization and then I have to calculate the position. And the position is calculated. This is calculated based on this set. set calculated positions. I think this must be where all that action happens. Um, okay, so anyways, I was trying to delete. So line 69 in here needs to go away. And this is always a weird time because I honestly cannot even begin to guess. Like I could be, this could be all figured out in 10 minutes, or it may be um, 10 weeks. I mean, there's just no telling. Okay, app custom layout component. Now I know that in the past, like, so I was pretty like for no apparent reason, I was adding IDs to begin everything. I was like, I know I'm going to need these. Historically, I'll run into this problem as I start to think that I run into this sort of issue all the time when I'm moving from delete. When I've implemented delete, all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, I need IDs. So historically, I'll usually try to work off of indexes, and that ends up becoming a mistake. Now I'm running into this issue. It would have been nice to do everything by IDs before. I'm assuming that's the problem. It could be that hash issue. Okay, so that's good. Let's go add one. Okay. strender service.ts. TS, and then what else do we have? Line 34 in strender service. Probably end up putting console logs in here again, but I just sort of need a reset. Boom. Okay, viz component, line 37, visualization service, line 27. This is like the absolute worst and best time of coding, in my opinion, is like when you're just in deep confusion. Because I mean, this is what it feels like to grow. That's the feeling. Um, if you never feel this, then you've stagnated. But growing is painful. Visualization service. Line 27. All right. I think we have a clean slate now. All right. So basically, we know. Well, let's just do this. Delete. See, that's nice. But then the next one is going to be the slowest one. And it should go, well, it should probably go right there or right here, but it should not move these two. And see, it's right there. The new one is, this is the new one. And I can tell it because it hasn't had all the, as much animations applied to it. All right, so calculate the position. So I know where we calculate. Well, let's go ahead and just close everything but this one that we're in, because all the tabs are definitely not helpful. Set up visualizations. It would be really easy since it's so many layers down. It'd be very, very easy to just be like, forget it. Let's just worry about this later. But this will never be easier to figure out. Okay, so it's in the animation service. I'm starting to remember stuff. Close others. And there's a point where we get, see, this is where, so these animate meshes keeps getting called. So here's where we, okay, so this is where we actually set the position. Okay. Console.log. We actually set the position here. I once worked at this place where they had a ton of really, really bright natural developers. Like somehow this organization knew how to figure out who had like the natural knack of being able to develop. But they almost no experience. Like they were all really, they had degrees from prestigious colleges, and they were all very good, and they all had really good attitudes, but very little experience. And I remember, like, we had hundreds of different visualizations and stuff like this, and every one of them was just riddled with the kind of bug that I'm chasing down right now. And they had all decided, oh, okay, I'm just going to continue getting things done and circle around and get this done later. And man, were those bugs so difficult to find. Um, but okay, so we should have hit that thing, right? Actually set position here. So we got in there twice. Oh, no, it doesn't seem like we should be getting in here. But maybe, I don't know. Viz. Okay, so I want to is okay. So we're gonna add one, add a viz, and see his viz is 200. I'm assuming that the first time it went through, it probably didn't. So it's left and top is that, and so we add a second one. We get in here. And see left and top. So this is ST visualization ID 17 has a left of 200. Okay. So now we come over here. We come back over here. And we, so everybody write 17 is 200. Delete. So now all we have is 17. The 8 is gone. So we come back over here, and we actually got in here. ST left is 200. It's visualization 17. Now we add one, and this is where 17 will get screwed up. See, 17 lost its, so it was 200, and then it lost it the second time. So for some reason, the actual visualization got screwed up. And so now 13 is at 200 and 17 is at 0. And 17 should be at 200, but for some reason, 17 got messed up. Now this is the viz left, ST left. Now, there can't be a whole lot of ST lefts. Okay, so it didn't get changed here. So let's go find where it gets changed. Oop. ST left. All right, so we have it in our interface. That makes sense. Our animation spec sets it, but we aren't really worried. That's our unit test. This guy, animation, this is what sets it. So, I mean, this is what uses it, consumes it. This other unit tests, and so it must be happening here. So it looks like right here we take that. Okay, so basically it looks like, I think, to me, it looks like this shouldn't, so this is not aware that there's already an existing ST top and ST left. It shouldn't change them if they are already there. Um, okay, so let's say console.log. And this is my second console log, so I'm going to put a number 2. Setting ST left. So it looks like to me like we need to, if ST left is already set, we need to leave it alone. So, but it looks like I'm just hard code, just wiping it out, even if it already has one. Doesn't, I don't think any of this should happen if the viz ST left is already set. We should just leave it alone if it doesn't, if it's good already. Let's go inspect. And I think we're our console and looking for our number 2. Okay, so now when we go over here, and then we go, we delete this, we go back here, and then let's clear all of the stuff and add one more. Yeah, so this is where we ended up setting it, and we shouldn't. I don't think we should do any of this stuff. Anything in here if it's already set, leave it alone. So see, it's like, it's so unfortunate that I named that viz, because this is my ST viz, and I named those other things viz components. And so it's really easy to get like sort of your wires crossed. Now, I think we should do nothing, absolutely nothing, if the left is already set. Actually, let's go look in the log real quick. Is there another like more specific? Because I really do hate that. So manual placement is false. So I guess, yeah, when I initially thought of this, I was like, oh, okay, I'll reset it unless they have actually physically moved it. I'm going to reset it. So I think it's doing what my initial desire was. And then I got it into my head that once it's been set. Yeah, I think I think now that I'm here, I don't really want to use this manual placement. I want to, if it's already been set, you leave it alone. And I guess the problem is if either of these have been set, the top, or because it could be 0. I think it does default to 0. right, so if the left is greater than 0 or the top is greater than 0, this is probably going to end up being a problem down the future. We're probably going to want to use the manual placement flag in the future, but for now I think this works. Usement flag when that becomes so basically I think what this will do is it'll in the future I think what will happen is we have no way of marking it as manually placed, but in the future we will, and then when we do that, instead of deciding, it's like if they ever actually physically placed it, then I don't know though. It seems like once it's been set, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. And then basically, actually, if those and st, so if the st left and top are 0, then go ahead and run it through. We'll just assume that like we'll just divine from that it is been manually played, or that it, if it already has values, but if it's 0, we'll assume it's new since that's the default. And it may get set to 0, but it's crazy how many steps it takes to duplicate this bug. Okay, so that's right, because the new one is at the beginning. What if I add a third? See, that's kind of a bummer because it is, I have 2 of them that are, there's 3 total. Like if I go back over here, see there's 3 total, but the second one is going based on the one that was in front of it. So there's 2 right there is my guess. Inspect. So we got this one. Yeah, the very first one's in the right spot. The second one is in the right spot. The third one shouldn't be there. And I think it's, again, because I'm using index, right? So yeah, previous right. So when I get my previous right, okay, so previous right is 0. See, so I just calculate it based on its position in here instead of based on the actual previous right. So previous right becomes there. So yeah, so that makes total sense to me. When all I could do is add, then the value was whatever was previously calculated. But now that I can, what I need to do is find the actual previous right, not calculate it. And I can find the actual previous right because I have all the visualizations. So I can just add a function, get previous right, and then it can go through. Because see, okay, so previous used to line up with the sorting, but now it doesn't at all. Even if I were to resort these things, it still doesn't. I would expect. I don't know what I expect. Either expect. I think there's 2 right answers here. One is when I add the third one, it shows up here, or the second one, it shows up here. Then I add the third one, it shows up there. Or possibly if there's nothing at 0, 0, then it goes, oh, okay, I'm going to put 1 at 0, 0. And then if there's basically, it probably should just add it on to the end. It would probably be the easiest thing to do for now. But basically, previous write can no longer be calculated like this. I have to go um, and say like get previous write, and it needs to go through, and it probably should be the max. I don't know, but yeah. So this code right here needs to get uh, needs to uh, um, check viz list and find the appropriate and that's actually so basically if it's like I guess yeah this gets a lot more complicated because it needs to like if I have 16 of them it needs to uh, check all the rest of them and make sure that yeah it's going to have to be a lot more intelligent than this. It's going to actually have to find um, the row where it's not too wide and stuff like that. So yeah, this is going to get a lot more complicated, but at least it's starting to make a little sense to me anyways. Um, Basically before, since everything was in an order, I could just be like, and I knew that the newer one was always the later one and all that kind of stuff. I could just be like, oh, if there's 8 of them, I can figure out what the, you know, what the, based on the position, but I can no longer figure that out. So um, all the logic for all of this logic needs to get a lot more complicated, a lot more intelligent. Um, Basically, yeah, we're gonna have to like sort of, yeah, I guess what we do is we calculate it and then see if something's there, and then if it's occupied already, and if it's already occupied, then go back and try to figure out the next one. If it's not already occupied, then place it there. Um, and that only goes for new things because I do want to be able to place things on top of each other. Um, so once it's been set, if it has had a value, we should always um, I guess I should mark it as placed. Once I've calculated and set a value, I think I should mark it as manually placed. So basically viz dot manual placement equals true. And then this is if viz dot manual placement. If it has not been manually placed, which technically it wasn't manually placed at this point. We might add some more logic to that in the future, um, but don't do any more calculations on it. You just use whatever it has. But if it hasn't been manually placed, then calculate it, and I guess you got to figure out, okay, are there any rows for it to fit in, and are there any columns? Which column and row should it be will it fit into? Um, but if it was manually placed, I don't know. I guess now that we can add all of this stuff probably won't even matter in the future because we'll probably just set them all at 0 when they get created, and then let the user move it around. Um, so basically, once it's been placed somewhere, that's where it stays. But and then if it hasn't been placed in this situation, then we need to go find what the next appropriate place would be. And that logic I've always really struggled with. Like, okay, I have 10 things on the screen. Where can this one fit? Um, like, where should it go? Anyway, so that is that. I feel like this is a good stopping point. We have a little bit more clarity, and happy happy coding, everybody. Bye.